Hello YouTube, Crazy Robot Lady here with another Tiger 2XL tape. Today we are going into the interesting world of the X-Men. Like Superman, the X-Men have two programs in the Tiger 2XL series, and this first one is called Deadly Games. So let's get to it. Oh, and I have a question for any of you comic book fans who may have read this series. Do any of the titles of these tapes match up with actual comic book titles? So let's see. For Batman, we had Batman Carnival of Crime and Batman the Sizzling Scheme. And for Superman, we had Mayhem in Metropolis and A New Hero in Town. For the X-Men, we have Deadly Games and The Ghosts That Haunt Us. That one will be next. Just curious if these lined up with any actual titles. Sorry. Let's continue. Just me being nerdy.
The schoolyard is relatively quiet after class. 15-year-old Stephanie Beecher likes it that way. There are a few kids hanging out, but they leave Stephanie alone, and she leaves them alone. You see, Stephanie isn't like the other kids, and she's afraid that if everybody knew her secret, that she might be sent away. She might be hunted like the others, like her she's seen on TV. Stephanie Beecher is a very lonely kid. The stranger knows that. The stranger has been watching Stephanie from across the street. He is dressed in a white suit with a funny yellow shirt. He approaches Stephanie.
You're Stephanie Beecher, aren't you?
How do you know who I am?
I've seen you at the school. My name's Archie Kincaid. I work at the school. I've noticed you don't hang out with the other kids.
They don't like me.
Why not?
They think I'm different from them.
It's okay to be different, Stephanie. We're all different in our own ways.
I'm not different.
I'll bet you are. I'll bet you'd like to meet other people who are different too. People who will understand you and be your friend.
Stephanie has seen other people who are different on TV. She's always wished she could meet some of them. Ones like Storm or Rogue. The ones who are called the X-Men. Maybe this stranger is one of them.
I can take you to meet some other kids just like you. Would you like that?
Stephanie looks around, trying to decide whether she should go with the stranger.
Hi there. I bet you're wondering where I was. This is your good buddy 2XL, and you've just started an exciting adventure without even realizing it. This is an adventure I call Deadly Games, and you get to control everything that happens by answering my questions. My good pal, the narrator, will tell you the story. Then I'll ask you questions and tell you what your options are. You must follow all of my instructions very carefully and only press my buttons after I say the word now. Okay, make sure you follow all of these instructions and we'll create a really cool story. Let's get going. Do you think Stephanie should go with the stranger? Press yes if you'd like Stephanie to go with Mr. Kincaid. Or press no if you think Stephanie should not go with Mr. Kincaid. Press yes or no now.
No, he's a stranger.
The idea of meeting other people like herself and making friends appeals to Stephanie. She is tired of being lonely. Archie Kincaid can feel that and smiles at her. He holds out his hand, but she refuses to take it.
Oh, Stephanie, we're going to have fun. I promise.
Stephanie shakes her head. She knows better than to go anywhere with a stranger. Archie tries to hide his annoyance. He was hoping that this would be easy.
I'm not going anywhere with you.
Suddenly, Stephanie feels a hand on her shoulder. She spins around to see a tall, long-legged woman.
I'm afraid you have no choice in the matter, dear.
The woman's sudden appearance and the fact that she is holding the biggest gun Stephanie has ever seen frighten the high school student. She reacts instinctively to what she perceives as a threat.
Stay away from me.
Well, I'm pleased that you did not have Stephanie go with the stranger. I worry about that, you know. Promise me that you'll never, ever go anywhere with someone you don't know. Unfortunately, it seems that Archie Kincaid has big plans for Stephanie Beecher. Luckily for Stephanie, someone else has witnessed her abduction. Professor Charles Xavier, founder of the Institute for Higher Learning. You see, Charles was in his ready room at the school monitoring his computer system, Cerebro, for mutant activity. Cerebro picked up on the growling you heard when Archie abducted Stephanie, and Professor X is going to dispatch some of his students, mutants all, to investigate. In order to get this story underway, you need to remind me of one thing. Where was Stephanie when she met Archie Kincaid? 3, the schoolyard, or 4, the library. Please press 3 or 4 now.
3.
The Blackbird, a specially designed jet, hovers over the schoolyard where Cerebro recorded the unregistered mutant activity. It uses a cloaking device so that it cannot be seen by the local residents. Less than an hour has passed since Stephanie was abducted, but it is already dark. A door opens and 4 of Professor Charles Xavier's students emerge. They are team leader Storm, with Jean Grey, Wolverine, and Gambit. They have been sent here by their teacher to investigate the unregistered mutant activity. Jean Grey uses her mutant telekinetic powers to fly herself, Wolverine, and Gambit to the ground, the 3 of them dressed in street clothes. They search the surroundings as Storm watches from above. All 4 are wearing small transmitter-receiver headsets so that they may remain in contact with the blue-furred beast who has been left to pilot the jet. Any sign of the mutant Cerebro located, Jean?
Nothing so far, Beast. My telepathic scans of the area aren't picking up anything unusual. What about you, Storm?
My aerial reconnaissance doesn't reveal anything unusual. Wolverine?
Because of his highly developed sense of smell, Wolverine is a natural tracker.
There are a lot of scents here, a lot of kids. However, there's one scent that's vaguely familiar. Someone who was wearing a lot of cologne so he wouldn't be recognized.
Who was it, mon ami?
Can't say for sure, Gumbo. Trail ends in the parking lot. I can smell the traces of brimstone.
That may have been caused by the mutant activity Cerebro recorded. Storm lands beside her teammates in the parking lot, and the 4 of them begin a thorough search of the area. The search is cut short by the sounds of flying jet engines.
Heads up, we got company.
Appearing on the horizon and approaching fast are 3 60-foot purple robots. They are Sentinels, and the X-Men assume their mission is to locate the new mutant. Knowing any opposition to the successful completion of their mission will be ended with extreme prejudice, the X-Men prepare themselves for action.
Who attacks first? Press 1 for the Sentinels. Press 2 for the X-Men. Press 1 or 2 now.
Go get 'em, X-Men.
So you want the X-Men to go into action first. Okay, who is the first X-Man to attack? Press A for Storm, B for the Beast, or C for Jean Grey. Press A, B, or C now.
Jean. I think she's the most powerful of the X-Men.
Even before they were seen by the X-Men, the Sentinels were aware of the Blackbird.
Scans reveal 5 mutant presences: Storm, Wolverine, Gambit, Beast, Marvel Girl. Lock on targets and attack. Marvel Girl is the most powerful of the mutants present. She must be terminated first.
The Sentinels fire on Jean Grey as she takes flight. She uses her mutant telekinetic powers to create a force wall. 3 robots fly into it. 2 of them fall to the ground, landing in an empty lot. The 3rd breaks through Jean's mental barrier and fires at her with lasers emitted from its eyes. The beams miss. Storm approaches from behind, manipulating the weather with her mutant ability. Lightning strikes the robot. The robot turns and grabs Storm in its fist.
Oh no.
Wow, with 3 3 Sentinels, and 5 X-Men. There sure is a lot going on. What would you like to hear about next, friend? Press A for Storm to break free of the Sentinel. Press B for one of the Sentinels to attack Gambit. Press C for Wolverine to go into action against the 3rd Sentinel. Press A, B, or C now.
Let's let Storm get away. A.
As Gambit and Wolverine go into action against the Sentinels on the ground, Storm concentrates all her efforts on breaking free of her captor's grasp. She creates a cyclone that throws the robot off balance. The robot's gyroscopes struggle to regain equilibrium, while Storm creates a lightning bolt that strikes its fist, freeing herself.
This unit requires immediate assistance.
The other 2 Sentinels are too busy to respond. Beast pilots the Blackbird right at the robot's head. It twists to avoid being hit and falls, exploding on the ground. I do believe that this unit is permanently incapacitated, Storm. If you do not act quickly, so may be Gambit and Wolverine. Storm looks down and sees that both Wolverine and Gambit are in life-threatening situations.
Storm goes to whose aid? Press B for Wolverine, or C for Gambit. Please press B or C now.
B. Gambit betrays the team later. Boo.
Storm, seeing that Jean Grey is on her way to help Gambit, flies to assist Wolverine as the 3rd Sentinel crashes to Earth. Wolverine slashes at the cables that hold him captive. For every cable he cuts, 2 more appear. He is completely entangled when Storm strikes the robot's head with a lightning bolt, disrupting its computer brain. Its head spins around as it releases the cables. Wolverine plunges his claws into the robot's chest. It crashes to the ground, and Storm hovers over its body.
Who sent you here?
This unit is not programmed to respond to your input.
Don't look like we're gonna get very far with this. I suggest we get out of here before the locals show up.
Gambit lifts some debris, charges it, and throws it at the fallen Sentinels. The resulting explosions destroy the robots as the X-Men return to their ship. While we were fighting with the Sentinels, Cerebro recorded another outbreak of the mutant brainwave activity we're here to investigate. It's 60 miles to the north. Beast turns his attention to piloting the ship. Within minutes, the Blackbird is flying over a deserted range of hills at the exact coordinates recorded by Cerebro. Jean Grey studies the computer readout.
The scanners indicate that there is some sort of facility hidden under the hills. It's partially shielded, so I cannot tell what is waiting there for us. There are 2 ways in. One is about 1.5 miles north of here by the lake. The second is about 2 miles west in a cave on the hill. There's no information available on defenses.
Well, what should we do? Split up and cover the area twice as quickly, or stay together for safety's sake?
Well, before we deal with that question, I think it's time to take care of some other business. First, I want to know how good your memory is. What is the name of the child the X-Men are here to find? Is it 1, Stephanie Beecher, or 2, Kenny Gardner? Press 1 or 2 now.
1.
I'm glad you remembered Stephanie's name. Now I'll have a choice for you. Would you like to B, see how Stephanie is doing, or C, find out who Archie Kincaid really is? Select B or C now.
Let's find out who Archie is.
As the X-Men consider whether they should split up, they are watched on a huge wall of video monitors by the red-haired, white-suited owner of the installation. Standing behind him is his executive assistant.
Ah, my playmates have arrived. I figured my Sentinels wouldn't keep them away for long.
What do you intend to do with them, Mr. A?
What I, Arcade, do best, Ms. Locke. Kill them.
And now that we know that Stephanie's captor is the villain known as Arcade, it's time to get back to the X-Men. As you remember, they were trying to decide whether they should stick together or split up. Press 1 if you want this team to split up, or press 2 if you think they should stay together. Please pick up your finger and press 1 or 2 now.
1. Gambit's got a point. They can cover the area quicker.
Storm gives this a great deal of thought. Finally, she reaches the conclusion that it would be better to split up.
We don't know if this mutant's life is in danger. Assuming the Sentinels were on his or her trail, time is of the essence.
Storm assigns Wolverine and Jean Grey to one team to explore the entrance by the lake, while she, Gambit, and the Beast will take the entrance to the west through the cave.
Which team would you like to go with? Press B for Wolverine and Jean Grey, or C for Storm, Gambit, and Beast. Select B or C now.
B.
Wolverine and Jean Grey make their way through the shadow-filled forest easily. Jean takes flight for aerial reconnaissance, while Wolverine stays on the ground. All is quiet, and that unsettles Wolverine, a feeling he is more than happy to share with his teammate when she lands.
I keep waiting for someone or something to attack us. This has been too easy.
My psi scans of the area don't pick up anything unusual.
What about the installation below us?
Something's blocking my scans. Maybe we should check with the Beast and the others.
Jean makes mental contact with the Beast.
Hank, have you and the others found anything?
It's quiet as a crypt, Jean. The portable Cerebro unit shows nothing out of the ordinary. We'll keep in touch.
They haven't found anything either.
The two of them walk into a small clearing. By the light of the full moon, they can see a round door that looks like a cross between a vault and a manhole cover. Wolverine crouches, listening carefully, but can't hear anything. Jean telepathically scans the area, and also comes up with nothing.
I say we give it a shot.
All right.
Wolverine tries to open the hatch. It won't budge.
It's locked.
Are you surprised?
No. It's the first thing that makes sense since we got here.
Jean reaches out with her mind and telekinetically maneuvers the tumblers and deadbolt of the lock. The hatch opens easily. They pause for a full minute, trying to assess the situation. Neither of them can find traces of any living thing. Finally, they decide to climb down the ladder, Wolverine taking the lead. When they reach the bottom, they look in both directions. The tunnel is bathed in red light. To their right is the glow of white fluorescent lights.
This is ridiculous. Somebody went to a lot of trouble to build this secret base, and there's no security.
Maybe they weren't expecting company. I'm gonna make telepathic contact with the Beast.
There was a brief element of drama, Jean, but everyone's fine. We're inside as well, but like you, we have met with shocking indifference.
Jean passes the report on to Wolverine, and they begin to walk down the tunnel heading for the glowing white light. When they emerge, they find themselves in a brightly lit metal corridor. It seems to extend for hundreds of feet in either direction, and there are no doors.
What do you make of this place, Logan?
Gives me the impression of a military installation.
The Blackbird's computers ran a check. They didn't show anything about the military.
You don't think they'd advertise the fact, do you? Smells like the government to me. A missing mutant, Sentinels. This is a major operation, whoever's behind it.
Before they can investigate further, there is an incredible flash of light and a loud electronic crash.
No, no.
Uh-oh, it looks like the X-Men are in for trouble now. What would you like to do? Press 1 if you want to stay with Wolverine and Jean Grey. Press 2 if you'd like to check on Storm and the others. Please press 1 or 2 now.
We'll stay with Wolverine and Jean.
Following their unexpected teleportation, the ringing in Wolverine's ears comes to a stop, and he regains his senses. Jean Grey is laying beside him, a series of cables connected to her head.
Jean, wake up.
Jean Grey does not respond to her teammate's call. In the control annex not far away, Arcade and Ms. Locke observe their unwilling guest on a video monitor. Ms. Locke asks Arcade what he's up to.
That, Miss Locke, is my newest invention. It will tap into Jean Grey's greatest fears and very probably kill her while doing so. Everything she sees and hears will be real, as far as she's concerned. Oh, a pity we won't be able to watch what frightens the most powerful member of the X-Men. Oh, and if Wolverine tries to disconnect her from the machine, it could very well destroy her mind forever.
The red-haired man laughs in his control room as Jean Grey wakes up. She tries to get her bearings, but she feels sluggish. Wolverine is at her side.
You okay?
Jean rubs her head.
Oh, I guess so. Something's inhibiting my psionic powers, though. I can't get a fix on anything here, and I can't reach the rest of the team.
Looks like we're on our own for the moment.
No, you aren't.
Wolverine and Jean Grey are startled by the sudden appearance of the white-haired man with the glowing eye, cybernetic arm, and big gun.
Cable, what are you doing here?
I don't know. I was at X-Force's headquarters in Camp Verde. Suddenly there was a bright flash of light, and now I'm here.
Even as Cable speaks, Jean tries to scan his mind to find out for sure if he's the real thing. Unfortunately, something is interfering with her psionic powers. Wolverine uses his own methods. The scent is Cable's, but that isn't a guarantee. It could be Cable's evil clone, Strife.
What I want to know is why I'm here.
We're wondering the same thing. We were following Cerebro's signal to a new mutant. We were met by Sentinels. Now, we've been brought here.
Whoever's behind this is a heavy hitter. Just think of the technology involved. Sentinels, teleportation. Who do we know that could do all this?
There is a burst of smoke and the smell of rotting flesh in the air. When the smoke clears, a tall, red-haired woman can be seen. She is wearing a skimpy black costume, and there are a dozen ugly, misshapen creatures beside her. She looks just like Jean Grey. That is because she is Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, a clone of the original Jean Grey created by Mr. Sinister. She sneers at Jean.
Welcome to the Goblin Realm, Jean Grey. Welcome to your death.
Cable's eyes widen. This is the first time in his adult life that he has seen Madeline Pryor.
Mother.
Whoa! Even for a dream, this could get messy. What happens next? Press 3 if you want the Goblin Queen to attack Jean Grey. Press 4 if you want her to be surprised at the appearance of her son, Cable. Select 3 or 4 now.
4.
Madeline Pryor seems puzzled at Cable's outburst.
Mother?
Yes, you are my mother. Scott Summers is my father. I am Nathan Christopher.
It's a lie. Nathan Christopher was sent into the future as a baby so that he wouldn't die. You could not be him. To come back would have meant your own death.
Madeline gestures, and the dozen goblins rush toward Jean. Jean Grey creates a force wall between herself and the demons, protecting her teammates as well. The demons lash out against the invisible barrier, tearing at it with claws, teeth, and fists, but it holds fast. The Goblin Queen attacks her double's mind with a psionic blast. Jean screams and loses her concentration, dropping the force field. Several of the demons rush forward and grab Jean. Wolverine lunges at them, claws slashing. There are too many of them for him to deal with on his own.
Cable, use that gun for something other than looks. Fire at Madeline. She's the one controlling these monsters.
Remember, this is just Jean's dream, but it can still kill her. Can Cable fire at the woman who is his mother? Please answer by pressing yes or no now.
I don't know. I'll just say yes, because I don't know this guy very well.
The real Wolverine kneels beside the unconscious Jean Grey. There is sweat all over her face, and her body thrashes wildly. Wolverine holds her tightly, wondering what she is seeing and fighting in her dreams. He considers disconnecting the cables attached to her head, but he fears that it might kill her. But judging from her convulsions, so might the dream. In Jean's dream world, Cable fires an electrical pulse that knocks the Goblin Queen backward. The demons squeal and rage that anyone would dare attack their queen. They release Jean and go after Cable. He tries to run, but they are too fast. They rip the gun out of his hands and begin tearing at his clothes and skin. Jean Grey begins attacking them with telekinetic force blasts, but for every one she knocks aside, another takes his place. Cable is soon hidden by a mob of demons. Wolverine realizes that this may be a case where the direct method may not be the best approach. He runs to the Goblin Queen, who is still unconscious. He kneels beside her, his claws at her throat.
You demons better back off, unless you want to find yourself a new queen.
Do the demons do as Wolverine says in Jean's dream? Press B if you want them to release Cable. Or C if you want them to continue their assault. Press B or C now.
Let him chew on him a little longer. I don't know this Cable dude.
The demons ignore Wolverine, following their queen's orders. However, they are unable to kill their victim, for they are knocked away by a fiery force bolt. A flaming bird takes shape in the sky. The flames consolidate themselves, and appearing in the center is the entity called Dark Phoenix. She too looks just like Jean Grey with long red hair. She is dressed in a red and gold bodysuit.
The only lives taken today will be taken by me. I have scores to settle with Jean Grey and all the X-Men. When I have killed Jean Grey, I shall return to Earth and take her place as I did before. This time, I shall destroy the X-Men once and for all.
Cable fires his weapon at Dark Phoenix, but she laughs off its effects.
The weapons of your world, no matter what time or alternate future they come from, have no effect on me, Nathan Christopher.
Drawing on her awesome power, Dark Phoenix directs a force blast at Cable. He is thrown to the ground, his weapon destroyed.
Ha! You're not so intimidating when you don't have a gun to prop you up, child.
Jean Grey tries to attack Dark Phoenix with a psionic power blast, but it beats back on her. She crumbles to the ground.
I will deal with you shortly, Jean Grey. First, I shall let you watch as I kill your son.
The Goblin Queen, who regained consciousness as the Dark Phoenix appeared, rises.
Nathan Christopher is my son. I shall not let you harm him.
Madeline Pryor gestures at her demons, and they take flight. There is a bright flash of light as Dark Phoenix creates an inferno that incinerates the demons.
How pathetic. Did you really think your minions were a match for me?
I will not let you hurt my son.
But is he your son? How do you know he's not mine?
Wolverine makes his way to Jean's side to make sure she's okay. In the real world, the real Jean isn't so lucky. Wolverine is still holding her, worried that his friend is near death.
Something doesn't smell right here. You're fighting for your life, and all I can do is sit here helpless. I can't just watch you slip away from me.
As Wolverine pops his claws and moves them toward the cables connected to his teammate's head, the red-haired man who abducted the child mutant looks on. The red-haired man's employer watches on monitors in another room, in contact with his employee by radio.
This is foolish. They'll figure out what's going on.
That's half the fun. Besides, what do you care? You're paying me and Ms. Locke to test the whelp's power.
That's right. I didn't hire you to hurt anybody. That includes the X-Men.
The X-Men are purely for my entertainment. You have no say in the matter. I want them to know it is I before I kill them. Oh, don't worry. Their deaths won't affect our contract. And I can promise you those deaths will come very soon.
The red-haired man laughs. If the dreams don't kill Jean Grey, it is very likely that Wolverine disconnecting her from the cables will.
It seems that the X-Men's captor intends to cause Jean Grey a great deal of emotional damage. I'm not even going to tell you what Jean will dream next. But it's one of two big surprises. It's up to you to guess which one. Either press button 1 or press button 2. Do it now.
Oh, dear. 2.
The program is launched by the stranger in the control room, and Dark Phoenix begins to draw on all of her strength. She intends to kill everybody present. The X-Men and the Goblin Queen. The air around her ignites, and the flames form a giant bird. As she prepares the most powerful force bolt she's ever released, another woman appears in the sky. She is dressed in a short green dress with a yellow belt, and is wearing a yellow mask with points that rise over her forehead. She has long red hair.
What the?
The woman is Marvel Girl, one of the many identities Jean Grey has used over the years.
You can't kill me, Phoenix. You tried once before, but you failed. You'll fail this time, too.
Brave words from the doomed.
She's not alone.
The sky is suddenly littered with a dozen Jean Greys, each dressed in a costume from different periods of her life. Her original blue and yellow costume, her red and gold costume from X Factor. There is even a variation of her in the green and yellow bodysuit that the original Phoenix wore before being corrupted by the Phoenix Force and becoming Dark Phoenix. Seeing all the different variations of herself around her is almost more than the real Jean Grey can bear. She sinks to the ground, fearing that if the mayhem continues, she may begin to lose control of her own powers. In the real world, Wolverine watches Jean Grey's body convulsing. He is sure that if she remains connected to the cables, she will die.
Forgive me, Jean. I hope I'm doing the right thing.
Wolverine slices through the cables. Jean screams, then opens her eyes. She breathes quickly, but after a few minutes, she regains control of herself.
Thank you. I'm sure you saved my life.
Convinced that they must move on, Wolverine scrapes the ground beneath them and finds a metal floor. His claws cut through it, revealing a room below.
What is in that room? Press A if it is Storm, Gambit, and the Beast. Press B if it is the young mutant that Cerebro had located and who was abducted by R.G. Kincaid. Or press C if it is the control room from where their captor is manipulating things. Press A, B, or C now.
B. The mutant.
The X-Men go through the hole to find a room full of computer equipment. In the middle of the room is a glass tube, and inside the glass tube is an unconscious teenager. Before they can investigate further, there is an explosion, and one of the walls crumbles. Through the dust, they can see their teammates.
Jean, Wolverine, are you all right?
Just barely. You?
Before Storm can answer, a silver robot appears through the hole created by Wolverine's claws. He aims a huge gun at Jean Grey. The robot prepares to fire when Gambit throws a chair at it. The chair explodes, destroying the inhuman device.
How many of those things are running around here?
That's the first one we've seen.
The Beast, who has been examining the equipment in the room, calls the others to his side. He explains that the teen is the mutant that they have been tracking, and that the kid's life is in danger from all the tests that have been conducted.
Then let's get the kid out of there.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to insist that you leave the child alone.
The X-Men's host enters the room. He is the red-haired man in the white suit and polka dot bow tie.
Arcade.
Arcade is a professional assassin who turned his inventive genius to creating ways to murder people.
Right the first time. I was hired to run some tests on this whelp, and you had the poor taste to intrude. I tried to keep you away with my sentinels, but you broke into my home anyway. I guess I shall have to kill you now.
You and what army, bub?
Do you really want to know?
Whose voice was that? Press 3 if you want it to be Mr. Sinister. Or press 4 if you want it to be Apocalypse. Press 3 or 4 now.
Let's go with 3. The dude with the diamond in the middle of his forehead.
As the X-Men watch, Arcade's features change. He sheds the white suit and slightly foolish expression. He grows several inches. His skin becomes chalk white, and his hair coal black. The transformation is complete with a suit of black body armor and a cloak made of shreds of black fabric.
Mr. Sinister?
Correct.
Why are you pretending to be Arcade?
It was useful to me. He had facilities to which I wanted access. He had a face that a child would trust.
What are you doing here?
This child may hold the key to finding a cure for the legacy disease created by Strife.
The legacy disease is a virus that has been killing mutants. Already it has claimed the lives of several people close to the hearts of the X-Men.
Therefore, I brought the child here to perform my tests.
You snatched the kid?
I brought the child here to find out if it held the key.
Did the kid have any say in the matter?
Would it matter if the child was the key to saving the mutant race?
Of course it would matter.
We won't let you perform your sick experiments on an innocent kid.
Are my experiments any more sick than those being conducted by your own Professor Xavier?
Nobody has the right to sacrifice the life or freedom of another individual.
It is that kind of thinking that is causing your world to drag its heels in finding cures for the legacy disease and cancer.
No, Sinister. It's that kind of thinking that is the root of all human rights. No individual or government has the right to use unwilling persons for experimentation. We will not let this continue.
I wouldn't expect you to. Fortunately, my tests are over. The time I bought while having you fight your way through Arcade's murder world was enough to finish. The child is not the key. Take it and leave.
Not without you.
That is not an option.
There's a flash of light, and Mr. Sinister vanishes. The real Arcade emerges from the shadows.
I told him it was dangerous to play games with you. You'd better get this kid out of here. The child needs immediate medical attention.
You're coming with us.
I had nothing to do with this. I'm as much a victim of Sinister as the kid.
You got a lot of other crimes to pay for.
That may be, but the bill hasn't come due yet. Can this kid afford the time it would take you to get out of here if you tried to take me with you? If I'm not here to turn off the defense systems, you may never get out.
The kid's got to come first. That's what we told Sinister, and that's the way it's got to be. And so Arcade stays behind, allowing the X-Men to leave, thereby saving the teen's life.
That is just one way this story could end. However, don't you kind of wonder what the kid's mutant power is? And what would have happened if Apocalypse was involved in the scheme? To find out, you'll have to rewind this tape and play it again. The next time you play, be sure to make different choices, and the story will then become completely different. I have many surprises hidden for you in my memory banks. Okay, please rewind my tape now.
All right, so there we go. As per usual, this is one way this story could end. There are at least 4 different endings. I'm so sorry, guys. Anyways, despite my yawning and not knowing a lot about X-Men lore, I should know more. But I'm not familiar with Cable. I don't know who he is. So I didn't defend him. Sorry if anybody likes him. Anyways, I hope all of you enjoyed this video. As usual, like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell so you will know whenever I upload new content. God bless. Happy holidays. And I will see you in the next video.